Hi there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at In the Footsteps of Marie Curie by Sorry We Are French, distributed in the US by Hachette Games.
All right, so In the Footsteps of Marie Curie, which is obviously a spiritual sequel to In the Footsteps of Darwin. So this is a game in which you are going to be playing out the life of Marie Curie. Now, in the first one, you were playing out through the life of Charles Darwin. And so this is going to stick with that science intellectual theme version of this game. But these two games are nothing alike. The only similarities is the fact that it shares that title, In the Footsteps of. And so don't think that if you know how this game works, that you'll know how this game is going to work, because they're two totally different games, totally different mechanics, totally different themes. So we're going to go ahead and take this one off the frame here. Just know that we really like In the Footsteps of Darwin, and so when we heard about In the Footsteps of Marie Curie, we definitely wanted to try that out. I'm going to put this back on the shelf right behind Sam because that's where we keep it. We like to keep it on display. So In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. So let's talk about it. Now, you are going to have a cube tower in this game in which you are going to be dropping different colored cubes which represent different chemicals as you are acting out Marie Curie and her work, trying to do different experiments, trying to distill different ingredients or different chemicals, trying to get the right set of different chemicals in this one to give you victory points in this game. Now, this is going to be a fairly low scoring game, and so anytime you can get a victory point in this one, you definitely want to do it. Now, let me show you how this one works. We'll go down to the table, and then when we'll come back, we'll share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have In the Footsteps of Marie Curie on the table. Let me show you guys about this game. Now, what you have for components, you have a central board here that is going to keep track of the different rounds in the game. You've got a timepiece that will keep the track of the rounds. Then you also have lots of tokens that are going to be placed on the board, lots of cards. Players are going to have their own player boards in front of them, as denoted by their player colors. And there's a cloth bag that's not really used in the game. It's simply to hold the different cubes in the game. You've got uranium, radium, and pitchblade represented by these three different colors. You do also have point tokens, 1s and 5s, and you do have a cube tower that is going to be very nice. You're going to be dropping the cubes in the tower here. And you do have, in addition to the rule book, you also have the a biography and explanations appendix, which is really pretty nice because it explains the different parts of Marie Curie's career and works that she did throughout the course of her life. This is going to explain each of these different eras, these different years, and different things that she accomplished in those years. Now, what's going to be happening in this game? One player will be the start player, and then turns will rotate clockwise around the table. You're going to have a different overlay that is going to be dependent on the number of players in the game. You've got one for 2, 3, and 4 players. This is obviously the one for 2 players, and it's just going to position itself right here on the board, and this is going to keep track of the turns. And so in the first turn, the first player is going to gather the cubes that are shown here in the circle. So in this case, it's going to be 4 pitchblade, and so I'll go ahead and grab that. And what you do with these cubes, the very first thing on your turn, as denoted right here on the main board, is that you will drop these cubes in the cube tower, not dice tower. Now, normally you would not keep this on the board. You'd keep this off to the side, but I'm going to show you what this does when you drop the cubes in the tower. And as is the case with most cube towers, some of the cubes fall out, some of them don't. Now, if this cube falls out, it is available for me to take on my turn. However, if it is right here in the cube tower where I can't get it to really stay, but if it were to stay inside in the cube tower and not come out entirely, I could not take it. It has to come entirely out of the cube tower. Now I'm going to go ahead and move this off to the side. Now, For the second part of your turn, you have a choice between two options. You could take cubes that come out of the tower up to what number you show here on your player board, which at the beginning of the game is 3, but you have the opportunity to increase that up to 6 throughout the course of the game. Or if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to take the cubes, then the cubes will stay there in front of the cube tower. You'll leave them alone. And your other option is to write a thesis, which are these 4 tokens right here. And you have to do this in order, so you can only do this a maximum of 4 times throughout the course of the game, and you have to do it in order. So if I were to write a thesis, I would take the top token of the 1 stack, and I would reveal what's on the back side of this. Now, in this case, I'm going to receive either a flask or a round bottom flask. And so I choose between the 2 of these. Now, what are these all about? Well, these are going to be flasks that you keep on your player board, placing them in these spots right here. Now, this is an opportunity to increase however many cubes you can take at that first part of your turn, like I just showed you. So if I were to do this, I would get to increase it to 4. And this one over here on the right side is how many cubes you can keep in your flask on your player board at the end of the round. The most you can keep at the beginning is 3. However, you can increase that up to 6. Now, you don't just get these by taking these tokens. First, you flip them over to reveal what's on their backside, and it's an experiment that you have to do throughout the course of the game. And once you've done that experiment, then you get to flip it over and you earn that reward to be used throughout the course of the game. And if you are able to do both of these, one round bottom flask and one regular flask, then you are going to earn a number of victory points printed here in the middle. So that is how these tokens work. And again, that came because I got that on the back of my thesis that I wrote. So that's the first option you have after you drop cubes. You can either take the cubes or you can write a thesis, and you would keep your collected theses or thesi, whatever that is, the plural of it, right here on this side of your board, showing that you've collected up to 4 throughout the course of the game. Now, the third part of your turn, as denoted right here, is to take whatever cubes you have here and use them for various actions throughout the rest of your turn. One of the options that you could do with your cubes is purchase cards over here. Now, there's a cost printed in the top left corner. In this case, 1 pitch blade and 1, I believe that's radium. Could be uranium. I'm not 100% sure. But you would spin those cubes back to the supply, and you would place this card in the matching column at the bottom of your player board. As you can see, these 2 icons match, and this is going to be where you would place these cards. Now, the first time you gain this type of card, you would earn whatever bonus is printed here. The second time you gain one of these cards, and you'll see that there are duplicates of the same card. So if I were to have 2 of these, then I would gain the bonus printed here, and then so on and so forth. The third time I'd get that. The fourth time I'd get a victory point. The fifth time I get a victory point, plus I get the Marie Curie tile, which is this one right here, which is worth an extra point at the end of the game. Plus I could take this action on my turn. We'll come back to that here in just a minute. Now, that's how these cards work, and each is going to pay out differently for you. Each is also going to have a different number of how many you can get of that card throughout the course of the game. As you can see, this one you can only get 4 of that particular one. There are 5 different types of cards in the game, and you'll keep them all down here at the bottom of your player board. So that's one option that you could spin your cubes on. Another option that you could do is you could do conversions. And so in this case right here, you would see you can turn 2 black to 1 gold, 2 gold into 1 silver, and 2 silver and 1 gold into 1 victory point. However, if you had that Marie Curie tile, you would have the option to do just 2 silver for 1 victory point. As you can see, this is a better action than this one printed on your player board. So that's one way that this tile is better for you, as it gets you a better opportunity to get the victory point. And so you could do that any number of times that you can afford by changing in your cubes that you have here in your flask for these different things. Now, you can go above the number of maximum cubes you can hold. You just have to have that number by the end of your turn. If you're over that number at the end of your turn, then you do have to discard down till this number. And again, you can increase that up to 6 throughout the course of the game. Now, a couple of other things that are going to be happening. Anytime that this icon right here is revealed in the game, you will advance this marker to the next spot on the time track, and all players will immediately receive whatever the benefit is down here. And so as you can see, there's going to be a number of benefits. Now, when this marker gets all the way to the end, that will signify the end of the game, and you'll count up points to see who's the winner. And again, this one will give an extra point to whoever holds it. Now, there's a couple of other things that can happen. You will have secret objectives that you could accomplish on the third part of your turn if you wanted to. And these are going to have different things for you to be able to try to accomplish. One of every type of card would get you 2 points. This one here is going to, I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember exactly what that is. If you have all 4 of the theses, you'll get 1 point. There is explanations for all of the iconography in the appendix of the rule book that I showed you. But anyhow, that's the gist of it. Again, you get points for having completed both types of flasks, earning the victory point printed in the middle. You'll earn points having changed things over into victory points as denoted right here, as well as the one printed on the Marie Curie tile. You'll get a point there. You get points for having completed your secret objectives. There are going to be also additional spots throughout the board that show you how to earn extra victory points whenever it comes to that point in the game. And then also certain cards give victory points after you've collected a certain number of them. Otherwise, that's going to be the gist of it. When this token gets to here, you will flip this over and it will reveal more options on the backside. This moves around after every player's turn. And again, you'll flip it back over again and around and so on and so forth till the game ends. Whoever has the most points is going to be the winner, and that's how you play In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on In the Footsteps of Marie Curie from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, you're in the field of healthcare. You're a nurse. You study those sorts of things, science and that sort of thing. You probably studied a little bit about Marie Curie in school, more so than I did. I would imagine. I was not a science major or anything like that. Psychology. We didn't pay attention to that sort of thing. But anyhow, when you look at this game and you look at the life of Marie Curie and the work that she did a lot of amazing things, right? And I think this game is a good tribute to her and the work that she did. Just like how In the Footsteps of Darwin was a tribute to him and his work that he did, his accomplishments and what he contributed to the field of science. So I think that is a huge part of this game. Do you have any thoughts on that aspect of it when it comes to this game?
No, I think I definitely thought, my sister's a research chemist, so has her doctorate in research chemistry, and so this made me think of her.
Yeah, definitely would speak more to her than maybe even you, but yeah. Now, let's talk about the way the game plays and what you're doing in this game. It has that really nice cube tower, right? That is probably the biggest facet of this game, or at least the thing that catches your eye, right? What did you think? And this may be the first game that you've ever played that had a cube tower, I think. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen dice towers,
sure.
But that just helps you roll dice. Yeah. This held on to, I've never played with anything like that before.
So what did you think about that aspect of this game?
I mean, it was unique. I mean, I don't think there's any way to cheat the system. I mean, I don't know. There might be. I guess if you threw them in there hard enough.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But you should just drop them in. Yeah. That's the right way to do it.
No, I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that catches a lot of people's eye, right? Like, it has some table presence, especially since it looks unique, right? It looks scientific, right? And I'm sure there is a scientific word for what it's supposed to represent in the game. I don't know. But I'm not a scientist, so I don't know that. But definitely is a part of the game, because there's going to be times when the cubes come out and they don't come out your way, and there's going to be times when they come out on somebody else's turn and they have lots to choose from, and you're like, why didn't that come out on my turn? So that is an aspect of the game, a little bit of a luck factor with it. But then this is a game where you are basically changing one thing into another, using the different actions that are available on your turn to be able to do that, to ultimately get them to become points. What did you think about that with this game?
It was a lot of steps to get something to become something else, to get to be something else. It wasn't too complicated.
No.
But it was a lot of steps to get those points.
Yes. And I felt like that was a lot of work sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really had to have a solid plan, because if you messed up in the first or second step, well, then your
Yeah.
that's not going to go how you wanted it to, and that's a lot of wasted time.
You're going to have a lot of resources. I shouldn't say a lot because you never have a lot in this game, but you're going to have resources that you're like, now, what do I do with this? I don't have what I need.
Yeah.
It's like you feel stuck a lot of times in this game, I feel like, unless you get a right pull from the cube tower. If the cube tower goes your way and you get what you need, or you flip over the right token and it gives you exactly what you need, then you feel like, okay, now I can do something. But until that happens, it sort of feels like, well, I did what I could do. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it gives enough of a option for you to be able to advance in the game. What, did you feel that way?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and then also kind of my experience with it too is that there were a lot of times where it felt like the choice was obvious what I should be doing in this one, right? Because like if the cube tower comes out and the options aren't great, well then obviously I'm going to go write a thesis to get whatever's on the backside of the thesis.
Yeah.
And if the options are plentiful, well then yeah, I'm going to take that because that's better than whatever the thesis is probably going to give me. And then again, like if the cubes are all black, well obviously I'm going to take the action that makes them turn into silver or gold or whatever the next one was. I think it was gold.
Yeah.
And then from there, obviously I'm going to try to turn them into silver. Like it felt like the choices were pretty clear what you should be doing. I don't know.
So it wasn't like you were really making a whole lot of decisions.
Yeah. I mean, did you feel that way with this?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying with that. Yeah.
Okay. And the fact that it is such a low scoring game, it feels like it moves at a slow pace. I don't know. It feels like you're playing down this line, and it's not that the game takes long, right?
20 to 40 minutes.
What is it, 20, 40 minutes? Okay, so yeah, this is a short game, right? And the game probably feels like it wraps up fast, at the end, but getting the points in this one, it feels like you go 3 turns to get 1 point, or like 4 turns to maybe get like 3 points.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just such a low scoring game makes it feel like it's slow.
And it says for 10 plus, which I think a 10-year-old could play it, but I don't think they would have the interest in playing it as
Probably
much. They would
not.
have to be this would have to be a very specific interest for that 10-year-old, for
Probably
a 10-year-old to want to play
Yeah, because it's a bit of a drier theme, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very, I shouldn't say very intellectual. You're not actually doing science in this game, but it is very much the science theme is out there right on the game and through. So it's like, it's a pretty bit of a drier themed kind of game to it. All right, let's get to pros and cons. The bullet point highlights that work well for you. What would those be with this one?
I mean, the cube tower was very cool.
Sure.
The artwork is great.
Yes, that is very top notch with this one. Yeah.
I mean, it is very much about Marie Curie. Like, I think they did a great job.
It's a good tribute to her.
Yes. But I think that being said, it just is a little bit of a slow earning game, a little bit drier, so it's just not as exciting as maybe we wanted it to be.
Yes. A few more pros for it. I would say that 20 to 40 minute range is a great time of game for this weight of a game, and it definitely doesn't feel like it goes on forever. It just feels like it's a slower game. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it's a quick 20 minutes and then there's a slow 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we've all experienced that.
Sure. For me, maybe some of the cons that stick out for me, as I mentioned earlier, it feels like the choices are pretty obvious what you should be doing in this one. Doesn't feel like your decision space is very big in this game. You're really making 1 or 2 choices at the first of your turn, and then it's pretty clear what you should be doing for the rest of your turn from that point forward. So I don't know that the decision space is very big in this one. The other thing about this game that I feel like definitely needs to be mentioned is the fact that they put in the footsteps of, and they put this in that line of games. Because when you do that, when you make a game be the sequel, even if it's not even anything like the first game, you're giving something to your fans of the first game to, be like, oh, this is going to be like that game, or it's going to be to the same degree as that game if they're not even the same type of game. And this one just doesn't do that. In the Footsteps of Darwin was a fantastic spatial game in which you were moving around the board and you were having to draft something from the middle to place on your board in different spots to activate different abilities and whatnot. And it was a perfect blend of mechanics and decision space and fun. And this one just is the opposite of that in so many ways that, just doesn't feel like it should really be in that same, I don't know, the series of games.
Yeah.
I may be harping on that too much, but that was just kind of my feelings on it, so... All right, let's get to final scores for In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. I'll go first on this one and share my score on it first. So, In the Footsteps of Darwin, I got to keep coming back to that because they put the name In the Footsteps on there, and it may not be fair to keep comparing it to that game, but I have to do that because it's on the box. So, it just doesn't hit the same marks as In the Footsteps of Darwin did for me, and because of that, I don't know. I'm going to give this one a 6.5, which is still, a respectable score. It's a score that I would play this game if somebody wanted to try it out. I would teach this game to somebody if they didn't know how to play it. It's probably not going to be one that I'm reaching to grab off the shelf in and of my own choosing anytime soon. There's going to be a lot of other games that I would probably want to play before that. But if somebody was an avid fan of Marie Curie or her sister being a research chemist, I would probably want to show her this kind of game. So there is a time and place for it. It's just not going to be the one that I'm going to be pulling off the shelf most of the time. So, I don't know. 6.5, where do you come in at?
I think I'm going to give it a 6.3.
6.3?
Yeah.
Any reason for that?
It's
just where it is for you?
Yeah, just where it is.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So 6.5, 6.3. That's where we're coming in at on In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game, what you think about In the Footsteps of Darwin, and what you think about Sorry We Are French.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.